All right. So dog
Yeah,
farts and blind spots.
blind spots. Well, like, so to your point, excuse me, you're saying like I'm just starting to let go of the reins and the idea that I might not have to be the separate doer, that things are being done. And then when she's talked about for me, right, my version of that is like, no, but it is good people and bad people. It is. She was like, for the eight, you like can't believe that the world is a place where there's good people and good against bad, and bad people I have to protect against them and be hard because of it. And I'm like, I agree. This is as far as I am with it. I agree that I don't have to be so hard. And that's what I've been working on forever. It's like always remembering to soften and come back to that, which is difficult to do, but I can do it. I'm better and better at it. But I can do that, but I still think the world is good and bad people. So I left you a voice memo this week asking you like about this, and I'll just retell it for the listeners. Like, so another friend of ours and I were having a conversation about anarchy and the actual definition of an anarchistic system. And she was sort of educating me about what anarchy actually is. It's not like Molotov cocktails in the
It's
streets
not
and like,
chaos.
no, it's not chaos. There's a lot to it, but it's a system that makes a ton of sense to me, actually. And the more she was laying it out, I was like, yeah, I think I like anarchism. And then she was like, AA is an anarchistic system. And I'm like, that tracks. Like it's not
One of
top
the main,
down. There's no
the main
hierarchies.
principles is mutual aid is the sort of adherent principle, coherent principle behind it.
Yeah, it's like a circular structure that isn't hierarchical, and there's nobody in power telling you what to do, but there are structures and that you agree to when you buy in or whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm not being as articulate as she was, but one of the things she said was, she was saying, as a 2, by the way, Enneagram 2, believe that, since people are good and all people are inherently good, that anyone could enter into a system like this and then blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm with you on all the points about what anarchy is, except that idea that I absolutely cannot say all people are good at all. In fact, what I would say is some people are really not good, like through trauma and through no necessarily fault of their own, and sometimes through fault of their own. And narcissism is real, and sociopathy combined with psychopathy. And some people are just shaitanic, and some people literally worship the darkness and put it at you when you didn't want it. Like people rape babies. What are you talking about? There's very bad people on the planet. Like, so anyway, so I was asking you in that voice memo, like, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
And what did you...
And I basically agree with you. I don't, it's a difference between like individuals. I mean, I think as a rule, I don't believe all people are inherently good. I do tend to assume good until proven otherwise.
Okay.
But I do think that there is an otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah, I start with good I'm not a 6, like where it's like you got to earn my trust 100% or I can't let you in. I assume good.
I'm here.
Yeah, I assume good, but then sometimes but then I'm often shown otherwise.
That's interesting because that's helpful because I assume not good.
Yes, and I think that might be the real break point. It's not necessarily that I think all people are good, and maybe she doesn't even believe this, but
that's what she said.
That's what she said.
She said she literally thinks all people are good at the core of it, at the base of it, and I'm like, sure. I can't. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying. She also is someone who's helped me and taught me even the concept of assuming positive intent.
Yeah,
I'm like.
I love the face. If y'all could, if you watch the video, you'll see the face get real suspicious.
I just don't like.
Why would you do that? That you're going to get hurt if you assume positive intent.
Also, you're going to get like obliterated. Now, so obviously, as I'm talking about this is someone who's been obliterated.
Yes,
I can't imagine a world where anyone would think, yeah, let's just assume they're going to be good. they're probably going to be good. Why? What makes you think that? And then the answer, of course, is your life experience.
Yeah, 100%. And all of the things that I am, for the most part, have given me the opposite experience.
Right.
Including, which does include my like gender, race, and presentation.
Sure.
And it also includes my specific life experience of not being attacked or molested or otherwise obliterated.
I guess I'm wondering, like, I really understand that if you've had a positive life, you have a positive life frame. That's nice. Good for you.
Tracks.
But I also don't get like, and I don't actually include you in this because I think you practice doing not this very well. I get confused when people can't extrapolate out. In other words, you might have had a positive life experience and nobody raped you, but you have 90 friends who, women, they've all been raped.
Just end of sentence. Women.
Yeah. Female presenting people, and it's something like 85% of women have been through some kind of sexual assault.
Yeah.
So can't we then extrapolate from that? Like, no, people are not all good.
Yeah.
Even if, and like, I don't know, for a long time, I thought, just to unpack this a little more, I just think it's an interesting idea. But so my experience aside, it's like when I was younger, I did believe that. I was very into the sort of idealistic notion that at the core, at the heart, everybody's good. Uh-huh. And then I learned so much about through painful experiences, but also just through going to school, like through healing schools, like all the various ways that different pathologies express themselves, and then like the degree and lack of degree to which people are willing to do something about it, the levels of altruism or empathy that people have or don't have based on what their trauma is. So there's a way that, like, in a way, nothing is ever anyone's fault, right? If I'm a narcissistic, sociopathic fuckwad and I murder children for fun, something happened to me. Okay?
Yeah.
And it wasn't my fault that it happened, but I am responsible for my actions. Like nobody else is. So can I say that that person is not good at their core? Right? It's like, what does good mean? Does good mean they were never harmed by someone else? Does good mean they care about people? So I know some sociopathic types who care and just do sociopathic shit anyway. I know some sociopaths that I don't know a lot of sociopaths, but I've read about and have seen in media, sociopaths that they don't give a fuck at all. And they're just whatever. Psychopaths, they start as kids, pulling legs off mice and ripping wings off butterflies. So maybe the idea of someone who thinks all people are good is like, their heart is good, but their behavior is bad. And I'm like, my heart personally has been way darker than it is now. I have lived with what it feels like to be dark and to have had the option to go in that direction. It would have been real easy for me to just ride my dark energy up a lot of ladders. I just couldn't live with myself if I did. But so my point is, I know what it can feel like to be not good in your heart.
Yeah.
So
Right. Well, yeah, because you also, and probably based on your experience, you have experienced that you sort of at a certain point had the power to sort of wield your darkness for dark purposes.
Yeah.
But you chose not to.
Well, that's what I just said.
Point. Yeah. I'm just sort of reframing it. You chose to.
Right.
And as a result, you're like that. So if you choose to use the darkness for darkness's sake. Right. Then that's darkness. Then that's evil. Yeah.
And I guess I could say that will to not choose that, I don't know how to take credit for that. It was just in there.
Right.
I had this will to just not do that. I was like, I'm not doing that. And then I'm going to heal all of it. And like, that's weird. Most people don't have that relationship to that kind of thing. They go like, well, this is weird. And how do I work with it? What medication can I get on to mitigate the symptoms? And then how do I like manage it? I was like, we're changing it. So I'm definitely the weirdo here. I'm not like claiming this is what people should do. I'm just saying I have enough lived experience of the options on the table, you know?
Yeah.
So anywho, coming back to this idea of anarchism, where if you're going to have a structure or a system or a culture that has a non-hierarchical structure, the way that it's structured is like circular, and you vote on things, or people just choose to behave well because of social pressure, like you'll be ousted, or they'll ask you to leave if you behave badly, or you just want to be liked by other people, or in our friend's idea of the world, you're just good, so you just do the right stuff. And I'm like, what if we took a random sampling of 5,000 people from the Bay Area, picked them up and put them at the top of a hill, and we're like, here, live in this anarchistic system now. Some percentage of those people are just not going to follow the rules. They'll say they will and then not.
Yeah.
Because so I was arguing like, if I like the anarchy idea, but I would want to vet everyone. And that's so right?
Yeah, but I understand it very much.
Because if you're not going to buy in and actually participate, well, that's okay, but just go do your non-anarchistic thing somewhere else. We're doing this over here.
Right. This is true. Yeah. I mean, I think, and I said the thing about I always assume best intentions and trust. It's like, I don't even know. Now that I said that very clearly, I don't even know if that's true, because I'm with you. Like, I don't believe that you're in until I know you do.
Right.
So I wouldn't want just anybody joining.
Right.
No, hell no.
Maybe what you're saying is, in your life now, when you're meeting new people or socializing with people, you're assuming positive intent there. But if you were going to have, like for your house, right? When people would move in, you don't just go like, everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
Old anybody. Come on the fuck in.
No.
Right?
No, in fact, I'm more and more kind of afraid of people generally.
Yeah.
It's like,
and why is that?
Because people are exhausting.
And you've had experiences with them, and now you know. You can't just blindly trust everybody. Can you, Squeezel? I have to move you because you're in my lumbar spine and I can't relax.
And also your farts.
Also farts. She smells like she's covered in skunk, but not really. It's just fart, and it's gotten into her furs. And so now she's just a fur machine, aren't you?
She's like a old BART train cushion.
That's right.
For those of you who don't know, the local Bay Area rapid transit system used to have fabric seats.
Can you imagine
for years
that choice?
It's just a fart. It's just nothing. It's made of fart. It's just like woven from fart.
Yeah, but also like heroin and sweat.
Yeah,
and like old guy ball sack. Like, what's not in those cushions?
Ugh.
So
awful. They finally have replaced. It took years. Very recently did they finally get rid of all of those.
Yeah. Are they plastic now?
I think they're plastic now. Like, I want a surface that you can literally just go in with a giant sprayer that has like disinfectant in the spray,
right,
and just blast the car with every few months, weeks,
100
days.
million %.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Back on most important topics. So people are made of farts. Is that?
That's what we're saying here.
Yeah.
I think it's very simple. It's what Ra said in Human Design.
I channeled that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't think people are inherently good. I think some people are pretty damn good and some people aren't. And then I think like you got to really examine what does good mean, right?
Yeah.
And then even if people were good, it's everybody's idea of how that expresses itself is going to be complicatedly different. And you could decide someone's not good even if they are. Like, by what metric are we?
Right. And then it's like, what is the point of the judgment of whether they're good or evil? Because it's really about, you just need to kind of protect yourself to a certain extent and be like, okay, I need to know where you're coming from so I know whether or not to be with you in some way. Because if you're evil, I want to not be with you in some way, or I want to avoid you, or I want to protect myself and others around me from you.
Uh-huh.
But the evil, whether you are good or evil for whatever reason, it's like a different subject. I can have compassion for you for what you went through, but I also still need to protect myself from you.
Well, yeah, so that's why you're not moving into my anarchistic culture on a hill that I'm not making.
But I am. I totally would. Oh, but that guy's not. Yeah.
Well, he's not invited.
That guy, this theoretical asshole.
Yeah, he's not allowed.
Yeah. It's funny. I was literally just having this conversation with Denise as well.
Really?
An anarcho-spiritual commune.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What were you guys saying about it?
Well, it's also a vision of theirs.
To live in one.
Yeah. To create and co-create, and everybody, everybody contributes what they contribute to it, which is what anarchism is also about. Mm-hmm. Similar to socialism in that case.
I mean, this makes me think of the thing Ra talks about a lot about 2027. I read some new stuff about this, which was, he talks about the idea that as of 2027, the huge shift that's coming now and that some of us can sort of feel coming in and that lands and anchors itself that year, I guess, is that the energetic support, like astrologically and spiritually and energetically from the planets and the earth and the air and everything, is for the raves. It's not for humanity. And the raves are, we may have talked about this on here.
We have a little bit.
They're this more evolved race of beings that function in small groups, group mind, hive mind, collectivism kind of, and they don't function like us. And a lot of people in human design think that the telepathy tapes podcast that we talked about here, did we talk about that here?
Yep.
That non-speaking autistics are the raves. And that they're here already, but that by 2027, the energetic support of the universe is for them. And so the humans will be struggling and the raves will have the answers and we'll go to them to hear. That's what he says. He's been right about a lot of weird shit. So it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, that's why it's so important to learn strategy and authority before 2027, ideally, because things are going to get even weirder. It's going to get pretty weird here on this planet. So, like, if you've got strategy and authority down, you'll be fine because you can navigate whatever. But if you're still trying to live by looking outside or whatever, it's going to be rough.
I'll argue that it's definitely getting rough right now. Like that energy of all the foundations and things that we've chosen to believe were how we operate and believe that will be supported within those systems. That's just getting
decimated,
and like how everything's made up kind of, at least in the 3D world, all the agreements are just that. They're just agreements.
That's right. So
laws, all those things, money.
Right. So you can
what
have
a dollar means.
Dictator show up and just say, nah.
No. The court said you can't do that. Huh? What?
Who cares?
What are you going to do? Send the court police after me?
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, every bit of power and authority is granted.
Right. It's a choice.
It's a choice.
It's just a choice.
Yeah. Now, you may choose to go against it and then be killed because of it, because someone can exert power in a way that is more violent, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah. I am surprised that nobody's really succeeded in taking this guy out yet. You know what I mean? Doesn't seem
Yeah.
that hard to
Been
me.
shot at twice now.
Well, so have you heard the theory? This is a conspiracy theory that like the one at the pulpit was a squib, that he just
Tracks.
grabbed his ear just to aggravate his base so they would vote for him more, which then happened.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
but I mean,
makes sense.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not
Why not?
saying that is the case, but I'm saying that seems as likely as any other weird shit he's fucking doing.
Yeah.
I told you, did I talk about here on the podcast how I finally had the conversation with my friend who became a Trumper? Did I talk about this?
Yes. At least the part where she's just sort of going along with her partner. And,
Right.
there's a lot of good people.
My neighbors are good people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. Do you notice, though, all the other stuff going on that he's doing?
Yeah.
The
That's
actual.
irrelevant to whether they're nice and make pies.
Right. Your neighbors can be as nice as they are and be Trump supporters and still be incorrect for voting in a dictator.
Yeah.
And they don't. She just is like, nah, RFK is giving me raw milk. And I'm like, have you read any of the stuff about what happens when you drink raw milk? Like sometimes it's great. Other times you get lots of diseases. And pasteurization is like to protect you. And it's not a conspiracy. It's just so you don't have diseases. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't weird conspiracy shit. This is just
Yeah.
bird flu comes through, which is happening a lot right now. Side note, a lot of bird flu
It's crossed over to the cows.
is crossed into the cows. They moo their little milk out, and then you drink it raw. Suck that bird flu down, baby. Vote for Trump. America.
RFK
What?
Jr.
But did I talk about like the conversation we had here? Did I talk about it?
You talked about what you and I just talked. I think we talked about it on the podcast rather
Well,
than just you
what
and me. But
I wanted to share something about it because I feel like, but before I do that, I want to say to anybody listening, I want to hear your thoughts about, do you believe people are good inherently or not? What's your framing of that? So share your thoughts on that if you're willing to, how do they do
all
it?
answers pod@gmail.com. Send us an email.
Yes. And then, okay, so here's what I wanted to say about it. I was very proud of how the conversation went. This is what I wanted to say. Did I talk about this part? You don't remember. It's okay.
I don't recall. So
Okay, great.
I was just, sometimes I have to think for a second.
I understand. I'm sorry. Fair. That's so fair. I'm sorry. I'm rushing you.
Fine.
So I Marco Polo'd her and I said, I was like using all my communication tools to not, I remember because we talked about your friend and his dad,
Yes.
but I still don't remember if I said this part of the story. Anyway, I said to her in a voice memo that is also on camera. So it's a video message.
Yeah.
If you don't know what Marco Polo is. So I said, all right, I've been avoiding this conversation with you for a long time because I have felt quite stuck about what to say. You're one of my favorite people. I love you so much. That hasn't changed. And I notice myself every time we talk, all I want to do is try to have you look at the reality that's happening and try to convince you that Trump is a bad guy and all of his people are like a really bad choice. I'm not going to do that though, because you and I both know, she and I have talked many times about this fact. And I said this in the video. You and I both know that never goes well. What am I going to talk you into believing a new thing? What are you going to leave your husband? Like, I'm not going to get into that with you because we're just going to get into it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to do anything. And I don't even want to do that with you because I love you. So I feel stuck because I can't talk to you without thinking about it. And then I said, also, obviously, the next option would be we just don't talk about that and we just talk about other things. And I said to her in the message, I've been doing that for the past 3 months and it's starting to feel very bad. Like I feel like very inauthentic and like I actually am losing respect for the choices that you're making. And I don't feel comfortable, like, it's hard. If I don't have respect for the choices you're making, I'm going to start treating you badly. I'm going to be mean soon. if we
Yeah.
don't talk about it. Like if we don't bring it to the light, I'm just going to start being like, oh, there you go, making that dumbass choice, you dumbass. Like, I don't want to be like that with you. And I don't actually think you're a dumbass. I don't understand this choice and I can't relate to it. And I've gotten to the place where I can't not bring it up. So I'm stuck. Because bringing it up obviously won't help. And I can't not anymore. So what do we do? Do you have ideas? Where are you at? How are you? So I was just proud of myself for like putting it like that.
Yeah.
Everything in me wanted to be like, you know what I wanted to say. It's what all of us want to say to all of them. What the fuck are you thinking? Are you serious? Have you read anything? Are you dead? Are you insane? Did you lose your brain when you moved from the West Coast to the East? What happened? That's what I want to fucking say. Don't you see what's happening? Look, here's this and this and this and this. And every single day since then, I still see every article I see, everything that happens. I just want to send it to her.
Yeah.
So your friend did this now. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Okay, so she messages me back and I'm super nervous, right? That she's going to be like, well, fuck you or mad at me or whatever. She was so cool. She was like, hey, I do not judge you for feeling that way. I really understand how you feel. My parents are in your camp and we've chosen to just not talk about it and we're good. But if how you feel is, I can't not talk about it anymore, it feels inauthentic, like I'm lying, then I respect that. You got to do what you got to do. And she's like, we probably should just both sit with it for a while and see where it takes us. And I messaged her back, you're the best. Thank you for understanding. Unfortunately, I have sat with it for the last 3 months. And where it takes me is, I think I just have to back off. I can't talk with, I can't have conversations with you if we're not going to talk about it. So we either have to enter into this like deep debate or I need to not talk with you, which is the first time in my life I'm ever choosing that.
Yeah.
I've never chosen that, ever. I've always chosen like gentle questions here and there, but mostly don't talk about it. And like maybe a little, what do you think about this? But I'm definitely not going to like not be your friend because of it. But now, in this situation, I am.
Yeah.
So I was really proud of both of us. Nobody got on each other. I just asked her a question. What do I do? I feel stuck. What do you want to do? And she was like, I get your stuckness and I respect whatever you got to choose. And I went, okay, I love you. I got to choose this. And I even said, if ever you change your mind, I'm around. Like I will.
When you pull your head out of your, no.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Right. Or how about this? Like when he takes over and ruins all the systems that allow you to have freedom in your life, and then you live the way your ancestors, because by the way, she's a Jew. So when we're now in concentration camps, maybe then call me. Oh, we won't have phones. Okay, never mind. I didn't say that. So I was proud of myself for how I said it all. That was like a big victory for me as an 8, you know?
Yeah.
I either just disappear or just come for you. And that's too, you know what I mean? So I did all my tools and I learned all my shit and I fucking said it okay. And here we are, not really friends right now. Not
really being friends anymore for the moment. Yeah. That's...
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't... The hardest part is that, like, we can have these debates, we can have these conversations, but, like, whoever, you know, studies are done, basically say people don't change their mind. It's just, you can't convince somebody to change their mind. It's just, you can tell them many things. And then at some point, every once in a while, the penny drops for somebody.
Yeah.
Someone goes, wait, what? Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And they come out of their fog and they...
Now, where was I? Who said this to me? I can't place it right now, but God, where did I hear this? It might have been on Armchair Expert, where somebody was saying what I just, a version of, you know, I was going to talk to my uncle about it, but I can't because that doesn't work. And the person they were interviewing said, I'm pretty sure this is where I heard this. It might have been somewhere else. But anyway, said, well, for a counterpoint to that, I want to share a story of some of my friends did an intervention on our Trumper friend. We did a full-on intervention. 4 of us went over there to their house and we said, we're worried about you. Have a seat. And we spent hours breaking down for them the reality of what's happening and how this part is a lie and this was a manipulation and here's what's happening and here's what's actually this is not a conspiracy, this is a conspiracy, this is not coercion, that is but laying it all out. And their friend was like, holy shit, I was duped, you're right.
Okay.
And it worked.
Oof.
And that'll fuck with every codependent listening.
Because now we're like, oh God, I got to go do that now to every single person I know.
Yeah, I'm still recommending don't try, but I think in the right circumstance with the right people who are ready in the right way and with the closeness of a certain kind of friendship, apparently it's occurred in time and space.
Yeah.
I've never experienced it going well.
Yeah.
But that was interesting to hear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because I've definitely, I've made I have one friend, I don't know where he stands specifically with Trump, but he definitely was, and I think I've shared this before. He was on he started as a 9/11 truther, which has some, definitely in my heart, some validity that there's weird shit that's unanswered around 9/11. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But he went pretty far down that rabbit hole. There were no planes.
Oh.
Here's how proof of that. No one even saw planes. Anybody who says they saw planes, which gets you involved with crisis actors, which then gets you involved with denying that Sandy Hook or any of the school shootings happened, and anybody who was interviewed as an actor.
I cannot with that.
Yeah, he went do, and he just kept going to the next level.
Right.
He probably even occasionally listens to the podcast. So, if you're listening, buddy, you know how we feel. And you do know how we feel because we've
talked about it.
It's almost broken. He and I have never deeply gotten into it.
Yeah.
He's gotten into another friend where they've almost broken, it got pretty intense and then they had to stop. But it did reach a point where he knows that to access this group of friends, he has to hide a part of himself.
Yeah.
That he identifies with.
Yeah.
Strongly.
Right.
He's tried occasionally, he would send me videos and be like, well, you're an actor, so you can see when people are lying, right? And this is fake, right? This guy's acting. Mm-hmm. And I would just constantly go back to him I don't know. Mm-hmm. Your foundation is skewed, so I can't answer the question. I just said his name. Yeah. Shit. That's all right. Beep. Point being, lost my train of thought on that. Oh, but he is now, and he's bemoaned it a few times. I feel like I'm not allowed to talk about certain things.
Yeah.
And we kind of go,
that's true.
That's true.
Right.
That is true. You're not.
You can.
Because
it's not going to go well.
We will. It's not going to go well for any of us, because you've lost the majority rule on this one with this group of friends.
Yeah.
We're never going to agree on that because it is at its foundation. It actually feels like an act of evil to deny that these parents lost their children.
Yeah. And it's batshit crazy too.
And it's batshit crazy. And that's really hard because it's one of the most incredibly creative people I know. One of the top artists in my world, as a creative, as a poet, as a visual artist, as a musician. Yeah. Holy shit, there's nobody deeper.
Yeah.
The man is a genius.
Right.
And that may be part of it.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's opened himself up to all the influences.
This brings me back to, and I can't remember if I talked about this already, but the high school boyfriend who killed himself recently. I talked about that.
Yes, remind us.
God, why can't I remember anything we talk about?
I don't know. Me neither.
Perimenopause is what I blame.
Okay, me too. I have perimenopause. So, hey jokes.
Hey. So, high school boyfriend. God, this is a story. There's so much to it, and it's unfolding every day because his mom and I have gotten back in touch. Did I tell you about this?
I don't think you told me any of this, actually.
Okay. Well, the point I want to get to so that I remember what the point of this story is as I'm telling it is like geniuses and suicide, or like geniuses and going crazy.
Yeah.
I actually kind of wonder about my dad sometimes, like how he hasn't gone completely insane. He's a genius, and I think I don't know, because he's fucking out there. He is, how he's not, anyway. I think frankly he was just motivated by like money, so like that kept him grounded. Like if you didn't give a fuck about money, you could just go real cuckoo pants.
Yeah.
Anyway, high school boyfriend. I'm trying to think about how to tell the story because it's about the mystery of suicide, or we could say, have you heard the new idea that you're not supposed to say they killed themselves? You're supposed to say they died by suicide.
Interesting.
Because the implication, if you say, I mean, according to some people, if you say killed themselves, is you're not taking into consideration that they were out of their right mind at the time. They were overcome by something that caused this choice that really wasn't them.
Interesting.
You could say, or it's like dishonoring their memory or something like that. I like the idea. It's also a little bit like, really?
Yeah.
I'm a little like, he killed himself. He did.
Right.
That's what he did.
And you can't say that on TikTok or other platforms. You can't use that phrase. It'll get removed. So you have to say unalived.
What's the reason for that?
That's an algorithm thing. They scan for certain words and they delete them.
But there has to be
Apparently.
a reason they're deleting that one.
Yeah, because they don't want people to promote certain things, I guess.
Maybe it's like they're worried about like mass hysteria.
You can't
like,
say you can only say corn.
right.
You can't say you have to say unalived. You can't say kill themselves. You can't say killed at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
So very smart, very charming, very attractive guy. Aloof, I would say cold. Like when you get to know him really well, it was hard to get into his heart. He was like defended, and very sensitive, very high functioning. Knew just how to do all the social networking. Became a screenwriter in Hollywood. He co-wrote I Heart Huckabees.
Oh yeah, you've talked about
I've talked about this, yeah. I mean, you can look this up easily. So saying his name is not bad. It's his name is Jeff Baina. He goes on to marry Aubrey Plaza. Is this ringing bells?
Yeah, well, that's right. And it is out in the world that her partner died.
Yeah.
And I think that he died by suicide.
Yeah, no, it's very out.
Public knowledge.
Yes.
Okay.
So, gosh. Okay. I'll speak about my story. Okay. Because that's what I know anything about. So I think it's an interesting story, and there's a lot of pieces in here that we could unpack and look at. So we're together in high school. We're together for a year and a half or something. The two of us are sort of best friends with this other couple. I won't say their names just for, I don't know, maybe they care, maybe they don't. And then outside of that, we have this other big circle of friends. And it's like the best group of people I've ever met at that time. Like I come to date him, and it introduces me to this group of people who are just, to this day, like the most lively, creative, intelligent, fun-loving, high-functioning people. Like it was a cool group of people. And everybody went on to be interesting people, arts, all kinds of stuff. After a year and a half with Jeff, I had sort of come to my wit's end of trying to connect with him, and he never would let me in. We had sex and we had fun and we laughed a lot. But I literally felt like when we were in the car alone, I would feel like I had to sit up straight and like say the right stuff. Because if I would say the wrong things, he would sort of shoot me down. He wouldn't make a lot of eye contact. Like it wasn't healthy at all when we were alone. And there was it was very cold, and I felt nervous around him sort of all the time. His mom, however, was sort of known as like that mom. She was like the cool mom. You could spend the night at her house. She was warm. She was funny. She was like a sassy Jewish mom who would be like, come in, I made lemonade. Sit. I made kugel. Have some. And everybody loved his mom. Everybody, not just me. All of his friends. And he had a lot of friends. So I went off to, how do I tell this story? Basically, I broke up with him right before college. And I can't remember the details of how it went down, but what I do remember is how it felt, which was not good. It felt like I can't get in, I'm trying to get in, and then I sort of was like, I already had one foot out of the relationship by the time I broke up with him. I was already like looking at a new guy who was a friend of mine, thinking about dating him. I hadn't done anything, but I was looking. Yeah. And like the second I broke up with him, I pulled my foot out and was like on that other guy, which, I mean, the second I was free of it. So like we didn't have good conversation. We didn't have any talks. It never went back and forth. It was just like, I can't anymore. And then bye. And I'm with this other dude. And then, but it was the summer between senior year and college. So we just sort of parted ways, never talked about it. I go to college, and I think about just before Christmas of that first year of college, I like had a meltdown and realized, man, I never talked with him. I wish I could have, like, I realized I didn't have any tools for like, what do you say in high school? Like, I feel like you won't let me in. Like, I don't know what normal people say. Maybe there's a healthy thing normal people know in high school. I didn't know how to talk about it.
I mean, most of us don't know how to do what you just said until at all.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah. So I called him. I had this moment at college, and I was like, I'm going to try to talk to him, because I'm going to just say like, hey, here's what happened. Like, I felt like I couldn't talk to you, like you were closed, like you pushed me away. And then I just left because I didn't know how to talk to you about it. Yeah. So I call him up, and it's Thanksgiving time. And I say like a sentence, hey, I was here thinking about you, and I wonder if we could talk about our breakup. And he goes, hey, I just want to let you know I have a girlfriend. And he like interrupted me, and he was kind of like trying to save me from, he's like, before you get into some kind of reconciliation talk, I'm with someone. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right. Well, hope you're doing great, and have a good one. And just, that was it. I was too like, my pride was too hurt to sit, to keep going. So I just like filled with shame, and was like, okay, cool. Okay, great. Oh, good for you. Okay. I'm totally fine with that. You know, peace out. So badly did I want to prove, speaking of the energy of proving, the not self of the open ego, to him and all our friends from high school that I was okay. That I go home from college that Christmas, back to my home, and I throw a party, and I invite him and tell him to bring his girlfriend. Sure. So I want everyone to see. No, but like, I was very clearly, my intention was, I'm going to show everyone how okay I am with all this. Yeah. And I'm in full on denial of the fact that I am deeply not okay with it. Okay. So I throw this party. He comes to the party. He brings her. She sits on his lap. I remember that. And I just was like, I just died inside. I was like, it destroyed me. So I never hung out with them again. I never tried to reach out again. I went back to college, and I was like, cool, cool, cool. Closing that door, moving on, because I just could not hang. Yeah. And the whole point of that story is to say, for the next 20 years or whatever, all of my high school friends stayed friends with him, but not me. I pulled away. I got sober. I was in that whole world. I had to realize I had a ton of trauma to heal. Like, I did my path. And I met up with a few of them a couple times, and always felt less than, and felt unworthy, and felt like insecure, and was like, these people clearly are all still friends, and I'm sort of this weird satellite thing that doesn't quite fit in. That was my narrative. in my head. And so
Yeah.
then they'd all go to LA and hang out at his house, and I was never invited. And so I started to track a bunch of years after high school, like, I really loved those people. These were like really close people to me who I love a lot. I'd like to try to be friends with them all again. Why did I pull away so hard when they're all still getting together once a year or whatever? I could try, right?
Yeah.
So I got back in touch with this girlfriend and that person a little bit and had little connections going on, and that was good. But I always felt like there's something unresolved with Jeff. And I thought when I moved to LA, I'm going to reach out to him. This is now, it must have been, God, math time. If I graduated high school in 95, if you can believe it. Is that right? Yeah, 95. Then I graduated college in 99. So this would have been 15 years after that.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to move to LA as an actor.
Yeah.
So I call Jeff. I get my big girl panties on. I've done all this recovery work. I've done 4-step after 4-step. I know my part with Jeff is that I pulled away and I never talked to him about what happened. And I know that I never gave us an opportunity to talk, except for when I called him at Thanksgiving, and he could have
he shut you down. Yeah.
He shut me down, and then I extra showed him I was fine, and which I wasn't. Okay. So I call him on the phone. So one of our friends gives me his number, and I'm like, and he answers, and I say, I mean, we probably spoke 4 sentences to each other. I said, hey, it's Katie Rubin. I'm moving to LA, and I thought it might be a great time to get in touch with you. Long pause. Silence. And I go, I just, I don't know anybody down there, and I'm coming down. I've been an actor for a long time, and I know you're doing really well. I certainly don't want anything from you, but like, it'd be cool to have people in the business that I know so we can like bond about the struggles of the reality of the thing. And he interrupts me and he says, I really don't know what you're asking of me.
Oof.
And I went, oh, like inside I thought, okay, he's not open to, there's no way I could say anything that would work here. Because I've already said, I'm not like coming for you to get an acting job. I just like want to be friends with anyone I might know down there. And like, things. And maybe if we're friends and we're having fun, you could tell me like, go over there, but don't go over there. Like, anything.
Yeah.
And he said, I really don't know what you're asking me. And in the moment, I just felt so ashamed again. I felt like, he thinks I'm trying to be opportunistic. Am I trying to be opportunistic? Like, it made me doubt my intentions. And I had gotten my head on so straight before I called him, I got clear. I'm calling him to be friends and to make amends for the past and to try to like be friends since all our friends are friends.
Right.
So when he said that, it just made me be like, oh, he wants no part of this. And so I just said, I guess I'm not sure either, Jeff. I just thought maybe we could be friends. And long pause. And I said, well, hey, glad to see you're doing so great. And thanks for your time and take care. And he was like, yeah, sure. And hung up.
Oof.
So he didn't let me be his friend all those 15 years later. And he was not helping me in that conversation at all. Okay. So I gave that up and I processed it and I was like, well, grief. Okay, I'll face the grief of that and it's okay. I got shut down and that's okay and whatever. Our friends continued to go visit him and go to these once a year parties, and it was hard. It was hard to watch. Yeah. For me, it's like not even about the boyfriend aspect of it. It's as an Aquarian, we're very much about the friends. And so it was
that's awful. You are gonna feel all the left out feelings.
Yeah.
Because it's a direct judgment of you.
Yeah.
That this group of friends who you are still friends with, but not in this context, you don't get to be part of this one.
Yeah. And so there was a piece to the story, which was that when I went and did college visits, I came back and he asked me if I cheated on him. And I hadn't. And I said, no. There
Oh,
was a
just
guy
on your college visit? You
on
were
my,
out of town. You must have slept with somebody.
he got a feeling. And I think that I've always had guilt because he was right to have a feeling because I was already looking. And I was
Right.
already emotionally out the door and just waiting to get the courage to break up with him so I could just go bone 90 people and
Yeah.
like date whoever I wanted who maybe wasn't going to keep me out of their heart, you know?
Yeah.
So when I went on that college trip, there was this guy and he was into me and I was into him and we didn't do anything. But I was into it, you know?
Mhm.
So he asked me, did you cheat on me? And I said, no. But I felt guilty inside because I was emotionally in my mind about to cheat on him. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to cheat on him. So all this time I've carried this guilt because I really wanted to cheat on him. It's not that I wanted to cheat on him, it's that I wanted to be free of it so that I could have some connection with someone. So that was the last interaction we had. And this is now, I guess, 20, another 15 years later. Is that possible? 10 years later?
10 years later.
10 years later, he himself. And he had a hard year. His marriage wasn't doing great. Some family stuff was going on. And everybody's best guess is like the stress of it all hit him all at once and he took his own life. Okay. But when his mom and I talked, so I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, that is the last guy of all people I've ever known. The last person I would expect to do this because he was so kind of in the way that sometimes people that are cold and a little narcissistic can just like get through anything.
Yeah.
It's like if the cool guy, the quarterback at high school, all of a sudden just killed himself. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
It's like that.
It's funny because that part actually totally tracks for me. Like that's the person that I actually kind of believe is because they're so guarded and not actually connected because everything is it's kind of a lie. It's all trappings. Nothing's actually getting through. Like you couldn't possibly want to be his friend. I can't trust you. You know, when you called him up and he said, what do you want from me? Like that's a wounded person saying that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yeah, anyway. But I don't know. I don't know what his life.
Well, I hear you, and I can understand it as well from the point of view of like, if you're that pushing people away to that degree, like, and you're that cool, like you're protecting something inside.
Yeah.
And like, even if it's just high levels of sensitivity, I can understand that.
Yeah.
So I was wanting to contact his mom, but I didn't know I was like waiting to feel into the right way to approach her because I hadn't talked to her since high school, but she was so good to me. Long story long, she reached out to me on Facebook.
Huh.
Would you be willing to talk? Absolutely. We got on the phone and she was able, I'll just say, we talked for 2 hours and I was able to give her some insights she never had about her son. And she was able to give me insights I never had about that guy. And at the end of it, it was very healing for both of us.
Wow.
Yeah. It's almost like the closure I was looking for. Like I thought by being friends with him, we could like close the loop of the way we ended. It could be good now because if we could talk it out, hey, this is how I felt. This is how I felt. I'm so sorry I did that. I'm so sorry I did that. You're the best. You're the best. Let's be friends. That was my dream. But instead, there's this weird other thing I got, which is he's gone from the planet. So it's still so mind-boggling. And then his mom and I have this deep talk, and she was always the one I felt safe with anyway.
Right.
All of this story started because you were talking about somebody you know being a genius and then going down these crazy rabbit holes.
Yes.
and how sometimes the brilliance that we have can be the doorway to, as we all know, crazy town.
Right.
Like
Or
full
difficulty
on.
or addiction or, it's the Amy Winehouse.
Yeah.
It's the 33 Club or whatever that thing is. All those
What's
young,
that?
it's not 33. It's whatever the age that Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix,
Isn't it 33? Because
Janis Joplin.
that's the Jesus year.
I don't remember what the year it is, but they all died. And there's Kurt Cobain, like all these people died at almost exactly the same age.
Yeah.
And they're all geniuses in
Yeah.
their field, and they all couldn't handle it. Most of it was addiction, but addiction is a form of madness. It's
Yeah.
so, and yeah, the brightest, and like the brightest lights burn fast, often.
Yeah.
But and sometimes it, like I've even seen it, like I've seen people who were like super, who lived at such a high level and such a accelerated level, like one friend who died of cancer, so he didn't take himself out, and he was emotionally and mentally very healthy throughout the whole process, but also it also was kind of like, yeah, he was burning the fuel of life much faster than anybody else.
Yeah, I get that.
And in this case, it was cancer, but in a lot of cases, it's something deeper, something more terrifying.
I understand it. It's the track I feel I was on. I feel very much like I was on that track.
Yeah, that checks out from what you've told me about you as a young person.
Yeah, even when I went to LA, I was so productive. I was on fire, but it was like not sustainable. And I was still making unhealthy relationship choices. Like I was choosing toxic people still.
Yeah.
Not meaning to. I would just find out pretty quickly, oh, this one's got borderline personality disorder too. Like, how did I wind up here again? And then, like, anyway. And I'd been sober a long time at that point, and then I was working the SLAA program, and then I was changing my relationship stuff. There was I was in a place where I was doing a lot of work on myself. Anyway, so I feel like when I wound up, it's like the healing school stuff and the healing work changed me like so profoundly in my heart that like I have in this past year the most ever, I've been grieving the loss of who I would have been had I not done all the healing work. Like I think I really would have succeeded at a lot of things at a pretty high level if I had stayed with a little bit more of my darkness. Like truly.
Oh God, that is one of the most depressing things you've ever said, and totally tracks 100%. I hate that, and it is so true.
What is it you hate about it?
I just knowing that, like that there is a such a strong relationship between like whatever measured success, especially like in our creative field, whatever we measure success as, but that sort of high level of success and high level of whatever we want to, trauma or madness or narcissism or whatever it takes. It's just, it depresses me. And I know that there are people who are immune to that. I feel like for the most part, there's a few very successful people out there who I think have maintained their.
Well, what I would offer is this is a healing school concept that if you look at the highest functioning people in any group, entertainment or anywhere, they're always the very best people you've ever met and the very worst people you've ever met.
Yeah.
Because to get to the level of success that you and I would want, you got to be a pretty cool person that people really like, or you've got to be pretty fucking dark and powerful to just get yourself there. So it's one or the other, and there's both up there at that echelon. And I was just not anywhere near far enough in my healing to like ascend through light. I would have been ascending through manipulation and just rage and just like, get out of I could have fucking wedged my Enneagram 8 ass up in there. out of sheer will and rage and fucking
Ugh.
revenge.
Yeah.
I'll show you, world, was my shit.
Yeah. Obliterate me? Fuck you.
I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
So all of this story is to say, like, I feel like I want to say this out loud. This could sound like I'm trying to, like, I think I made some noble choice and I'm like a good person and that's why I didn't succeed. Like, that could be a nice little cop out or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is it's not that. It's that I chose to focus on becoming more light because I like needed to. And I always believe that anybody still has the option at any point to go like, you know what, I'm going to do success now. I'm going to go back to Hollywood and now I'm all this light. Now I'll do it from light.
Yeah.
It so happens I don't want to, but that could change.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm noble and I made the noble choice. It's more like it was the only choice I personally could stand to make personally.
Yeah.
And there are real losses that come with it for me. And I don't want to pretend there aren't. And so this relates also to the other thing we were talking about, where it's like when you have to lose a friend because they're a Trumper, it's grief that we as a human race, we so don't want to deal with our grief. We do so much crazy shit just to stay away from pain. And it's so unfortunate. In other words, sometimes people stay in relationships with people they totally disagree with because it would be, quote, too painful to lose them. But really, it's just, you would have to grieve it.
Yeah.
You just have to be sad about it until you're not anymore.
Yeah. The actual loss of the person isn't actually that bad. It's the fear of the feelings that you'll have to fucking feel.
And you will have to. It's not a fake fear. It's a real fear because the feelings do suck. But we can build resilience and we can get better at grieving. And once you know you can handle the grief around anything, now you have real, like, nothing can stop you.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like any choice I would have to make that would be hard, the only reason not to make it would be I'd be afraid of the grief. But I'm not afraid of the grief because I've been through so fucking much. I'll just grieve it. I'll just face it, grieve it, and then one day I won't be grieving anymore. Do I prefer that? No. But can I handle it after everything? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but I can. And so anyway, I kind of wish that for people, is that people wouldn't stay in relationships that don't work, or stay in cities they don't want to be in, or stay in whatever they're staying in out of it, or be like awkwardly friends with someone you can't be yourself with because it's going to be painful to not be friends.
Yeah.
Let it be painful. You'll get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's a good note to perfectly, literally end our time on.
Yeah.
Hour and a half. We go for that and we fucking nailed it. That's what's important. No, yes. I have nothing to add to what you just said, because I think that's the lesson of today.
Cool.
Well,
good night. Have a good nap.
But just pass out, and the tape will keep running. It'll just be me completely passed out.
I want to say, as we say, do your work today, I just want to say to the listeners that may exist, I will continue to do my own work for sure. And maybe, if you've got the energy, let's all try.
Let's all try. Keep doing our work. I love you very much.
Love you too.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? What are the answers?